Here's another reviews from a car episode. I've just realized that I guess I get, oh, I'm sure I get my best ideas whenever I drop my wife off to work and we talk about the social issues that are affecting us, and we talk about our interests. So what happens is our topic today was sexism in certain cultures or in certain family cultures. So in the middle of the conversation, we were talking about Bill Burr's Paper Tiger, and I've told her how I felt, how as a man being the primary breadwinner, that seems, or that society, or technically in my culture, it is mandatory for the man to be the primary earner. And as old-fashioned as that seems, that's how all men around my age actually feel. I mean, you'd even in modern day society, you can't always say in modern day standards is no longer applicable. That will not always be the case. So the idea was, I was speaking to a colleague who's about retirement age, and he was talking to me about his frustrations and how he's dealing with work, and how over time work is just getting harder. There is this feeling that you haven't done enough and that time's catching up with you, and you feel as if you have an obligation to be successful, or you have the sentiment that at least you are going to be measured by what you've accomplished. And they never talk about, and society, I'm referring to society in general. Society doesn't talk about how nice you are to another person. Being a dude, I mean, paraphrasing things, being a dude is about being tough, about having no emotion, about not being too sensitive about things. So when I heard this, as a person who, as any normal person would empathize, you'd be like, oh, I'm probably, do I want to be like this when I get older? So everything that Bill Burr said, I've related to at a certain level, because I have bottled up anxiety that maybe I'm not doing well enough. Maybe I should be doing more. Maybe I'm not just cut out for certain things. And I feel bad. I feel as if I'm not making that cut. And being a dad, that's not the kind of environment I would want my daughter to be in. How does anyone like that feeling of, okay, this is your obligation, this is what you're supposed to do, here's your responsibility. Yes, that's fine and all. But to have that rubbed in your face every day by your own conscience, whether you like it or not, what does that do to you mentally? And then if a person who is just judging you from the outside says the same thing, oh, that you're not really providing enough for your family, then isn't that a poor state of mind? Isn't that the kind of rotten apple that would ruin good apples in a basket, in terms of how that affects society? If a society looks, or let's say if a society or a culture looks at you and says you are not being the breadwinner that you're supposed to be, is that your worth as a person? And even if it is, should you be reprimanded for it? Should people who shouldn't have an opinion on that say, well, it is your obligation, or silently, yes. Where is it coming from? Where is your bottled up anger coming from? How? Can you answer that? Or how can you... That kind of rhetoric pollutes the idea of growth. And that's what I got from Bill Burr. That's what I got from these comedians that have been coming out on Netflix. Dave Chappelle, the Sticks and Stones review, the Sticks and Stones special. It is, as a society, there's not enough compassion, there's not enough tolerance, and when we talk about compassion and tolerance, we immediately think about people being snowflakes from both sides of the spectrum. This polarization that we've all been through, not only politically, but as genders, as race, this binary way of looking at things has actually devolved people. Shouldn't we be better? Shouldn't we be able to express our frustrations and anger and happiness and not be judged for it? Shouldn't we be judged by our character or by how we treat other people nicely, or how we treat ourselves nicely? What kind of cycle is life in that sense if you're only subjected to accomplishments? So these are the things that I get from my wife whenever we have our conversations in the morning when I drop her off to work. I feel more of a man, if ever you call that feeling more of a man, or that you get what I'm going, you get where I'm going. I feel more accomplished. Put it in this way: I feel more accomplished as an individual whenever I get to speak to my wife, or I get to speak to my partner and look up to her and have that same feeling reciprocated. And that's all we need, I guess.